Howdy folks. Today we're going to look at two topics. We're going to look at cursor methods and we're going to look at aggregation. So let's take a look to start off with what I've modified here. So in our book schema, I've added in a price. And so this price is numeric. I've also added in a get API that will get all of the books. And you notice I am using the promise-based API here rather than the callback-based API. So I've pre-created a couple of books with the various different prices, 40, 4, 35, 10, and 27. So we have some interesting data to look at. If I go into get all books to get API book, actually let me start my server. That's a thing that we probably want to do. If I run this, you can see I basically get all those books, 40, 4, 35, 10, and 27. But let's say I want to order those in terms of price, all right? Which is not an unreasonable thing to do. Well, Mongo and Mongoose both, so this will work in both of them. I am using a Mongoose model here, but this will also work after you call find on a Mongo instance as well. Have a sort method, and you can see this is why I did the promisify based or promise based, because I need to be calling constructor or builder methods. Sort takes in the fields that you want to sort by, so in this case price, and then a number. Negative numbers will sort I believe high to low, but let's just check that out. So if I put in price -1, restart our server here. All right, and if I go into here and I run this, yeah, now you can see 40, 35, 27, 10, and 4. So it sorts from high to low. All right, if I put in a positive number, rerun that, and run, you can see now it sorts 4, 10, 27, 35, and 40. It sorts the opposite direction, low to high. So if you need to sort your results in Mongo or Mongoose, that's how you do it with the sort method on the find. The next thing we have is skip. Now skip takes in a certain number, and what it does is after it gets this result set and says, okay, you know, got a result set, it skips the first X of that. So if I say 2 here, I run this. Before, this was giving me 4, 10, 27, 35, and 40, right? If I run it again, it skips the first 2. So now I only get 3 responses, and the first 2 are gone. It doesn't have to be in this order. You can skip, then sort. So like I could skip the first 2, then sort by price. That doesn't always make as much sense, but it is possible if you want to. So the next thing we can do is, if let's say maybe I have 3,000 books and I only want to get 10 of them, I can limit. So if I limit 1, it's only going to return me the first one of that set. So if I run that, you can see I only get the 27. So that might be a little confusing as to how it figures that out. So let's take a little bit more of a visual look of how it's doing that. All right. So let's say we start off with our model.find. We have 9 results. Result 1 through 9. These are the 9 results we have returned. If we add a skip, that skips the first 3 results because of the skip 3, and we only have the bottom 6 results left. So skip removes from the bottom. Then if we add a limit, after the skip, we only get that many more rows. You can see those 4 are removed by the limit, those 4 blue, those are thrown away, but only because we're only allowed 2 more after that. So limit basically says, hey, I only want X rows to be returned. I only want 2 rows to be returned, then everything else gets thrown away. Skip says, skip the first 3 rows. So skip is more cutting off the top, and then limit is for cutting off the bottom. So in that way, you can get a certain page of results and slowly page through those results. Anyway, so hopefully that clears up a little bit how that works. So back to our code. We have our sort, our skip, our limit. These can be in any order. You can also do more. You can sort, you can skip, then you can sort again. I don't know why you would really want to do that, but if you ever have a use case for it, it is possible. If you put these in a different order from what they are, you may get unexpected results. Just, keep that in mind. So the next thing that we're going to look at is aggregates. All right, so book, I'm going to create a new route here. Aggregate. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have books.aggregate, and then I'm going to just copy this .then. So let's see what it does. Whoops, this is bookrouter.get. Let's just see what it does without anything at all, right? Without any parameters. So we go in here. Let's duplicate this. I'm going to duplicate it. We're going to call it get all books aggregate. And if we run that, what doesn't give us anything? Okay. Well, that's not what I expected, but that's okay, because aggregate requires some special things. So it requires a list or an array of objects. Each object contains various things. So what we need, we're going to introduce a new operator. We're going to introduce the match operator. Okay. So this is something that we can have with find as well. But let's say I want everything where the price is greater than 10, right? So I would say match price GTE, and you notice this is another operator because of the $sign. That's when I say price greater than or equal to 10. There's also LTE for less than. If you just want price of equal to 10, you could just do it like that. There's also less than, greater than. So those are a couple operators that I need here. All right, so that's a match for aggregates. If I run that, it gives me those matching items, right? 40, 35, 10, and 27. And it's giving me the 10 because it's greater than or equal to. If I don't want the 10, I just do greater than. So now, after that, we want the group, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say group. And this is how aggregate really works, is it's grouping your elements by various properties. So let's say I want to get the average price, okay? Average price. This is going to be, again, another operator, average of price. Now, why did I put a $sign on this? Well, that's because I want Mongo and Mongoose to realize I don't want just the average of the string price. I want the average of the field price. And because normally when you put stuff in like this, on the right-hand side of the equation, it is going to be a value rather than a field. So this $sign lets the system know this is actually a field to do. Okay, so if I run that, have I group there, average price. Now you can see, okay, code name, it doesn't give me what I want, which is not quite what I expected, right? So what are we missing here? So I'm missing something really important here. And the first thing that it'll try to do is group by the ID. So what I need to actually tell it is ID null. And in this particular group clause, what that tells Mongoose is, hey, don't group by the ID. Or rather, have an ID of null for this group, right? That might seem a little weird, but that's just kind of how it's set up. So I run this again. Run here. Now you can see that null ID, but also average price. So basically, I have to tell it kind of, hey, set an ID field on this that is empty, because otherwise it doesn't really treat it as an object that can be returned from the system. It's a little weird, but that's just how it's set up. And there's my average price. So it's average that field. All right, well, what's a couple other things that we can do here? Well, we can get the sum with $sign sum, and again, the field. Okay, we can get the max, so which is the largest value in the set. and I bet you can guess how that happens. And then finally the min. These are called aggregations because they basically group all of our rows that match our data, and then it returns them, kind of combines them together and uses that combination to aggregate various fields and put them all together. So if I set this all up, average, sum, max, and min. All right, and then I go here, average, sum, max, and min. So this can be useful in a lot of cases where maybe you just want to find out the average user age, right? So then you just average the age field. Or maybe you want to find out the total number of users that have purchased from your store. So then you look at, maybe you have a purchased column on your items, you just sum those columns. Maximum price, minimum price, also very common. Maybe you want to find the longest route and you have a routes table, you could just get the max route. So that's how you do aggregates. Now, here's an important thing to note. Now that we have this group in here, we actually have something the aggregate's doing. We don't need the match. The match is just a way to filter those results. So if I can actually take that match out, and if I run this again, it runs over every field. So now you can see the min price is 4 rather than that previous match which filtered out the 4. So you don't actually need the match in the aggregate. You can aggregate over every field. It's just the match is there if you want to filter down, similar to find. All right, so that sums up Mongo and Mongoose. There's a couple other advanced topics that we didn't really cover here, but this covers the basics that you should need in order to work with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in class.